Welcome, family and friends, to Sparkle's Storytime. Today we'll be reading the Rainforest book by Charlotte Milner. Look at the pretty butterflies on the page and all the different birds. This is a book about the rainforest. Have you ever heard of the rainforest? This book discovers the world's tropical rainforest. Where do you find rainforests? How do plants and animals live? What does a rainforest look like? Why are rainforests important? Discover an amazing variety of rainforest plants. The fight for light, plants and their pollinators, plants and their seed spreaders, the cycle of life. Meet the wonderful animals that live in tropical rainforests, animal hunters, camouflaging creatures and colorful warnings, safety in numbers, finding a mate, growing up in the rainforest, why do rainforests need protection, deforestation, how does climate change affect rainforests, rainforest recovery, how can you help, make your own mini rainforest, protecting the places that are precious. These are all the subjects that are in this book I'll be reading today, and it's what we'll be learning about. There's so many things to learn, so much around you that you can learn just by reading a book. So first, we'll go with the first chapter here. Where do you find rainforests? The equator is an imaginary line that runs around the middle of the earth. Like a belt, tropical rainforests are found in places near the equator, where it is warm year-round and wet for most of the years. Tropical rainforests are colored green on the globe. Above and below the equator, the temperature is cooler, but you can still find rainforests growing in areas where there is a lot of rain. These rainforests are called temperate rainforests. So we see the equator line here, and then we see below where many rainforests are. The area between the yellow line is called the tropical zone. A tropical rainforest will get at least 79 inches of rain every year. That's 2 meters. But sometimes this amount can be more than 394 inches, 10 meters. The temperature is normally 72 to 93 degrees Fahrenheit, 22 to 34 degrees Celsius. The Amazon is the largest tropical rainforest and has one of the world's longest rivers running through it. There are different types of tropical rainforests. Some tropical forests are called cloud forests. They grow on mountains and hills among damp, low clouds. Tropical forests growing near the sea are called mangrove forests. Here, mangrove trees grow with their roots sunk deep into salty water. Most tropical rainforests grow in low areas of land where rivers flow. These are the rainforests that most people think of when they hear the word jungle. How do plants and animals live? An enormous variety of plants and animals live in tropical rainforests. All these living things need food to give them energy to survive. But plants and animals get their food in different ways. While plants are making food, they release oxygen into the air. This is a gas that all animals need to breathe. The flowers make seeds which can grow into new plants. On some plants, the seeds are found in fruits. The stem carries water to the leaves. The leaves absorb energy from the sun to help make food. The roots take up water and nutrients from the soil. In every rainforest, there are thousands of different types of plants, which provide food and shelter for animals. And this is the melastome plant. A plant's leaves act like food factories. Plants are able to make their own food. They make the food using three things: light from the sun, carbon dioxide from the air, and water from the ground. Animals get their food from eating other living things. The iguana eats plants. It's an herbivore, and it's an animal that only eats plants. The toucan bird is an omnivore, and it's an animal that eats both plants and other animals. In a rainforest, animals and plants need each other to survive. One way that plants and animals are connected is through food chains. A frugivore is an animal that mainly eats fruits. A nectivore is an animal that mainly eats nectar, a sweet liquid made by flowers of plants. For instance, a hummingbird. A bat is a frugivore because it's an animal that mainly eats fruits. An insectivore is an animal that mainly eats insects. For example, an anteater. A carnivore is an animal that mainly eats other animals. For example, a jaguar. Seeds and berries get eaten by the bird gets eaten by the snake, and the snake is eaten by the eagle. That's an example of a food chain. Now you may ask, what does a rainforest look like? Tropical rainforests such as the Amazon contain some of the world's tallest trees. At the very top, the sun shines brightly onto their leaves. But as we travel down towards the rainforest floor, it gets darker because more tree leaves, branches, and other plants block out the sunlight. First, we have the emergent layer at the top of the trees. There is little shelter from the wind and rain, but some monkeys like to hang out there, swinging between the branches. Then we have the canopy. More wildlife lives here than in all the other layers. In the canopy, there are thick tree branches, leaves dappled with sunlight, and a refreshing breeze. In the understory, we have leafy bushes and small trees make up this dark and hot area where frogs hide and birds find food. Finally, we have the forest floor covered in fallen leaves. The dark and damp floor is the perfect habitat for insects as well as insect-eating animals such as anteaters. Some animals that live in the emergent layer will never set foot on the forest floor, but they may travel to the understory to find food. The clouds release rainwater back into the forest. Why are rainforests so wet? The air in a rainforest feels wet and sticky because trees and plants release water that they don't need. This moisture rises when it's heated by the sun. High up in the air, the moisture forms clouds that release rainwater back into the rainforest below. So first, plants release water into the air. The water in the air rises and forms clouds. Then the clouds release rainwater back into the forest. And so on. The cycle continues. The river. Streams and rivers flow through lowland forests. In these waters, we find alligator-like reptiles called caimans and fish such as piranhas. Why are rainforests important? Rainforest gives us food. More than 3,000 types of fruit can be found in rainforests, including wild versions of bananas, oranges, and mangoes. Even a favorite treat, chocolate, comes from the cacao trees that grow in the rainforest. Rainforests create rainwater. The moisture released into the air by rainforest plants and trees rises up to form clouds. These clouds could travel to places that would otherwise be very dry, where they release rainwater. Rainforests stop floods. Tree roots suck up rainwater. Without trees, water could wash the soil away into rivers and block them, which would cause flooding. Rainforests create the air we breathe. Rainforests are known as the lungs of the planet because their plants create oxygen that all animals, including humans, need to breathe. Rainforests absorb carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a gas that animals breathe out. It is also created by burning fossil fuels such as oil and coal, which we use to make electricity in power cars. Having too much carbon dioxide in the air causes extreme changes to the weather and harms the environment. The rainforest is full of plants that help protect the environment by absorbing carbon dioxide from the air. Rainforests give us medicine. Around a quarter of the ingredients found in medicines come from the rainforest plants. For example, tropical cinchona trees produce quinine, which helps us treat malaria. Millions of people live in rainforests. These people have expert knowledge of rainforest plants and animals and use the nature around them to make their shelters, food, and medicines. Rainforests are home to an enormous number of the world's plants and animals. In the Amazon, up to 400 different species of trees can exist in just 1 hectare of land, an area similar to the size of a soccer field. We're going to discover an amazing variety of rainforest plants. Rainforests are lush green worlds filled with thousands of plant species, from towering trees tangled with vines to feathery ferns sprouting on every branch. But while rainforests might sound like natural paradises, most plants there must compete with each other to survive. Let's learn about the unique ways that tropical plants find sunlight and reproduce. The fight for light. Plants need sunlight to make their food, But in the dense rainforest, it can be hard to get enough sun. Plants can't move around like animals do. Instead, they have their own way to reach the sunlight while staying rooted to the same spot. We have the palm tree. Palm tree leaves fan out, spreading over a large area. This gives the plant a better chance of trapping light. Woody vines called lianas climb up trees, coiling around trunks and branches to reach the sunlight. Their leaves and flowers grow once the vines reach the sunlit canopy. Vines weave from tree to tree, creating walkways for animals who live in the canopy, such as monkeys. Tall trunks help trees get closer to the sun. A kapok tree can grow up to 200 feet, 61 meters tall. Small plants called epiphytes don't grow from the forest floor, but live high up on tree branches where there is more light. They live off soil and water that gets carried by the wind, so they are known as air plants. Birds that live in the canopy stop at bromeliads for a drink. Bromeliad plants live up high on branches. Their leaves collect rainwater in pools, creating little watery habitats for tree frogs. Instead of growing up toward the sun, a strangler fig starts life at the top of another tree. Its roots grow toward the ground, spiraling down the tree's trunk until they reach the forest floor. Eventually, the tree inside is surrounded by winding roots and can't get any light. The tree dies, and the strangler fig takes its place. Plants and their pollinators. While some plants have thorns and poisonous leaves to stop animals from eating them, other plants do what they can to attract particular animals called pollinators. Pollinators visit plants and move pollen from flower to flower. This important job is called pollination, and plants need it to grow seeds. How do animals pollinate flowers? 1. A pollinator such as this orchid bee looks out for flowers which provide food from among their petals. This food is nectar. 2. While drinking the nectar, pollen gets stuck to its face or body. 3. When the pollinator goes to the next flower, the pollen rubs off its body onto the flower. The bee's tongue is called a proboscis. It's very long so that it can reach into flowers for nectar. 4. After pollen has been moved from one flower to another, the plant grows a seed. This will eventually grow into a whole new plant. Meet the pollinators. Flowers come in many shapes and sizes, colors, and smells. Different variations attract different kind of pollinators. Colorful flowers attract insects and birds that look for nectar in the day. The hummingbird has a long curved beak that reaches into Helconia flowers. The female orchid bee pollinates Brazil nut tree flowers. Pollinators of this plant must be strong enough to push open the flower's tightly closed petals to reach the nectar. Some butterflies love to visit the monkey bush vine, as it has lots of stamens. The stamens spread pollen on to visitors. White flowers stand out in the dark to attract nocturnal pollinators such as bats. Bigger flowers are visited by large pollinators such as mammals and birds. The kikaju is a nocturnal mammal that pollinates balsa tree flowers. Kikaju. Kind of looks like a lemur. Very interesting. So we see plants and their seed spreaders. Once a plant has been pollinated, its seeds grow. Plants need their seeds to be spread far and wide, so they pack them into tasty, colorful fruits that animals will want to eat. Super seeds. During or after eating the fruit, animals drop the seeds on the ground where they can grow into new plants. But for the seeds to grow, they need to be strong and sturdy so they don't get damaged by the fall. Some seeds are poisonous, so when animals such as monkeys and bats eat the fleshy fruit, they drop the toxic seed to the ground. The cashew fruit has two parts: a sweet, juicy cashew apple fruit and a toxic seed hanging below it. Seeds that are too big and hard for animals to eat get dropped to the ground. Spider monkeys eat the fleshy fruit around a big mango seed. Toucans eat nutmeg seeds whole. Each seed has a soft outer coating that the bird digests, but it coughs up the hard, poisonous inner seed. Some seeds have a hard casing to protect them. Some seeds are so small that they are mixed into the fruity flesh and get eaten. These seeds reach the ground later on when they come out in the animal's droppings. Tamarind monkeys eat the tiny seeds and the fruits of the cecropia trees. The monkeys can spread the seeds as far as 2,297 feet, 700 meters, by walking before pooping them out. Animal droppings can contain seeds as well as lots of nutrients that the seeds need to grow. Some seeds can travel in water. Tambiku fish disperse the seeds of annona trees by eating fruit floating in the water and spitting the seeds out. The seeds travel along the river and end up in the ground when the river dries up. That's amazing. Brazil nut tree seeds have hard, round shells. They can be cracked open only by rainforest animals with strong teeth, such as the agati, a kind of rodent. The shell is filled with more seeds than one little agati can eat, so it buries some for later. Some of the seeds get forgotten about and will grow into new Brazil nut trees. The cycle of life. Fallen seeds sprout on the forest floor and new life begins, but the forest floor is also the place where life ends as dead trees and leaves fall to the ground. This is all part of an important cycle. The rotting tree bark and leaves return nutritious nutrients to the soil which new plants need to grow. On the forest floor, dead leaves and branches make a litter layer above the soil. This warm, dark layer provides food and homes for many small creatures. Glowworms dig themselves into the mud, leaving just their luminous, shiny heads sticking out, ready to bite any creature that walks past. Dung beetles roll animal poop into balls. They use it later as food for their babies, called larvae, which hatch from their eggs. Maggots, velvet worms, are slow moving predators that squirt is sticky glue to trap insects. Then there's termites. They're wood-eating insects. They live in huge colonies and build nests out of chewed wood and trees or under the ground. Harvestmen are harmless relatives of spiders that eat rotting plants. Breaking it down, many creatures that make their homes here are known as decomposers. They eat dead leaves and plants, breaking them down into smaller parts that go into the soil as nutrients. A decomposer, such as a millipede, eats a rotting leaf. The leaf breaks down into smaller parts in the millipede's gut and is pooped out. In the soil, other decomposers, such as earthworms, break down the leaf even more. The small parts become nutrients for plants. Fungi, such as mushrooms and toadstools, live on dead matter. They recycle rotting plants, turning them into nutrients in the soil. Fallen tree leaves leave gaps in the rainforest canopy, allowing sunlight to shine into the rainforest floor. This light gives seedlings the energy they need to sprout, and new trees known as pioneer trees start to grow. Plant roots absorb nutrients from the soil. Meet the wonderful animals that live in tropical rainforests. There's an incredible variety of animals to be found in tropical rainforests. In these dense forests where predators lurk around every corner, each animal faces the challenge of finding food while staying safe. Let's take a look at the amazing ways that rainforest animals survive and discover what makes every creature unique. There are more species of animals in the rainforest than in any other habitat in the world. For example, while the entire continent of Europe has a mere 53 species of frogs, the rainforests of Peru and Ecuador contain more than 300 frog species. Animal hunters. Here are the animals. We have a smart spider and more. Animal hunters. Day and night, the animals of the Amazon face the challenge of finding food. For carnivores and omnivores, the next meal is often on the move and difficult to find. Animal predators need sharp senses, lightning fast reactions, and cunning strategies to capture their prey. Unlike any other spider, a jumping spider doesn't build a sticky web. Instead, it makes a plan of attack. Using its excellent vision, the spider plans a route to creep upon its prey. When it gets close, the spider launches itself onto the unlucky insect, jumping lengths of up to 50 times its own body size. Oh boy, that's the jumping spider. A cunning climber. Between tree branches, a green vine snake stretches its pencil-thin body to silently hover over prey, such as lizards. While the lizard is unaware of the danger dangling above, the snake strikes, lifting it off the branch and killing it with its venom. A patient pouncer. A large Suriname corn frog sits and waits in the mud and leaves on the forest and the leaves on the forest floor. When its prey wanders within reach, the frog springs out and swallows it whole. The frog is nicknamed Pac-Man frog for its huge mouth and amazing appetite for insects, mice, and frogs. A camouflage cat. Whether it is day or night, the spotted fur of jaguar keeps it hidden in the bushes as it stalks its prey. Padded paws allow it to move silently until it pounces, seeking its sharp teeth into its prey. Unlike other cats, jaguars don't mind water and sometimes hunt for fish, turtles, or caimans in the river. A hairy hunter. Tarantulas can't see much in the dark, so instead they use touch to hunt. Special hairs on their legs detect the vibrations of moving bugs and small animals such as lizards and bats. From the vibrations, the tarantula can tell the exact size and location of its prey. Then it attacks, injecting its prey with deadly venom from its fangs. A sixth sense. Scent and vision are important senses for snakes, but pit viper snakes have an extra sense that they use to catch prey. They can see heat. Special organs between their nostrils and eyes detect the body heat of prey such as mice, bats, and birds. This gives the snake a picture of the size and location of the animal when it is dark. A deadly drifter. A black caiman is one of the largest predators in the Amazon rainforest. Its eyes and nostrils are at the top of its head, so it can see and breathe, while most of its body remains hidden underwater. The caiman mostly hunts at night and drifts slowly towards its prey before striking. Camouflaging creatures. Some rainforest animals have evolved to become experts at hiding from predators. Many animals have colors and patterns to blend in with their surroundings, a trait called camouflage. The underside of a blue morpho butterfly's wings are a dull brown so that it is hidden against tree bark when it is resting. But at the top of its wings are a dazzling blue, so it flashes from brown to blue as its wings open and close. This creates an effect that looks like flickering sunlight and confuses predators. A leaf-tailed gecko has a frilled edge on its skin that lies flat against tree bark. This disguises the gecko's shape, making it harder for predators to spot. Malayan horned frog hide among dead leaves. And then we have a stick insects. It camouflages and looks more like a stick to hide from its predators. Just as the leaves on a tree all look slightly different, katydid insects come in various shades of green, and some even look like dead or half-eaten leaves. See the katydid? It looks like a leaf. Colorful warnings. These animals aren't shy predators. Their bright colors and patterns make them stand out and act as warnings that they should not be eaten. Helicodius butterflies lay their eggs on leaves of poisonous passionflower vines. The eggs hatch into caterpillars that are able to eat the leaves. Eating these leaves means that the caterpillars develop into butterflies with the plant's toxic chemicals in their bodies. Predators such as birds avoid eating helisaceous butterflies because they recognize their markings and know that the butterflies are toxic. Coral snakes have bright red and yellow stripes to warn predators of their potent venom. Then we have the stink bug, the bright and patterns of poison dart frogs. The bright colors and patterns of poison dart frogs warn predators of their deadly defense. Their skin is coated in poison. The frog make this poison from chemicals in the insects that they eat. And that is the bright colored poison dart frog. Very colorful looking frog, very poisonous. And let's meet the mimics. Not all colorful creatures are poisonous. These frogs, butterflies, and snakes have similar colors and patterns to their poisonous lookalikes. So they too can have the same dangerous reputation in the rainforest. The Helconius mimicking moth. It looks similar to the real one, but you see the difference in their pattern. Then you have the milk snake. It looks similar to the coral snake, but it has white, according to this illustration. And then we have Zapparo's poison frog. Safety in numbers. Some animals stay safe in the rainforest by living in large groups, sticking together when there are predators around, and while building homes and finding food can help them survive. Green tree ants are impressive insect architects. The colony works as a group to make their nest. Some ants pull leaves together so others can bind them using their larva's silk. While building, ants hold onto each other to make bridges for other ants to cross. Their home can take hours to build, but once it's complete, it will be a safe place for larvae to grow into adult ants. Larvae are carried in the ant's jaws. They produce a sticky silk that glues leaves together. The food foragers. Howler monkeys live in a group called a troop. Each morning, the troop howls together to warn other monkeys to stay away from the trees that they feed on. A howler monkey troop contains about 6 to 15 monkeys. The troop's calls can be heard up to 3 miles away. They ensure that no one else eats the monkeys' precious treetop fruit, nuts, and leaves. Looking out for each other. Giant river otters live in family groups and sleep, play, travel, and feed together. They make dens by burrowing into the side of the Amazon River. They are protective of their homes. The whole family looks out for danger, alerting one another with snorting sounds if a caiman is approaching. The otters work together to defend their home by swimming toward a predator and barking loudly at it. I think that's a great strategy. Following the leader. In a gorilla troop, the oldest and strongest of the male gorillas is the leader, called the silverback. He keeps the group safe by leading them to food, deciding when they will sleep, and protecting them from danger. Mountain gorillas can be found roaming the tropical cloud forests of Central Africa. They live in troops of up to 30, which usually contains several young males, some females, and lots of young gorillas. Finding a mate. Although many animals try to stay safely out of sight in the rainforest, it sometimes pays off to stand out from the crowd, especially when it comes to finding a mate. For animals that are awake during the day, looks can be important. Some birds of the paradise found in New Guinea, a large tropical island north of Australia, have evolved to have impressive feathers and funky dance moves to attract female. A male western parotia clears the ground of sticks and leaves to create his dance floor. He then takes a bow before performing a whirling dance. Female vogelthrop bowerbird. The bowerbird collects flowers, berries, and fungi. He neatly arranges his treasure into different colored piles around the bower. An impressive builder. The male Vogelthorpe bowerbird impresses his date by building a giant structure out of twigs, which he carpets with fluffy moss. The structure, called a bower, is large enough for a human to crawl inside and can take years to make. A show of strength. The male rhinoceros beetle has huge horns, which it uses as a weapon to go into battle with other males. Each beetle can lift more than 100 times their own body weight. The winner of the fight will drive the other beetle away, clearing its territory of any competition is successfully attracting a female beetle. The loudest croak. Being colorful is not so impressive when it is dark. For nocturnal animals, having a loud voice is a much better way to be admired. At night, a rainforest comes alive with the different croaks and calls that are unique to each frog species. We have the warty rainforest frog. Many male frogs have flexible skin around their throats that expands like a balloon when they croak. This helps make their calls louder. Then we have the New Guinea bush frog. Female frogs listen out for the unique call of their own species. Some females like the sound of deep croaks, while others find long, complex calls more desirable. Growing up in the rainforest, with poisonous plants and deadly predators around every corner, growing up in the rainforest is challenging. While some animals are born equipped with everything they need to survive, others have a lot to learn from their parents. Orangutans are some of the most devoted mothers in the Sumatran rainforest. They spend 8 years looking after their young, teaching them all that they need to know. Mothers show the young orangutans how to build a nest with folded branches. A tricky skill to learn is how to use tools. For example, twigs can be used to pick termites out of their wooded nests. Baby orangutans watch their moms carefully. This way, they learn how to gather around 400 different kinds of food, remembering which trees grow fruit and when. We have the durian fruit. Sun bears are the world's smallest bears. Females give birth to 1 or 2 babies called cubs. Cubs stay close to their mothers for 2 years, learning how to climb and find food. Sun bears can poke their long tongues into bees' nests to find honey, their favorite food. Sun bears use their long claws to rip holes into bark to find termites to eat. Hornbill mothers stay sealed inside trees for around 3 months, keeping their eggs warm and caring for the chicks after they hatch. When the chicks are old enough to leave the nest, their parents chip away at the muddy wall to let them out. Rhinoceros hornbill birds make their nests inside the tree holes left by sun bears. After mothers have laid their eggs inside a hole, they build a muddy wall to keep predators away. Hornbill fathers bring their family fruit and insects throughout the day. Why do rainforests need protection? Why do rainforests need protection? Sadly, rainforest animals face even bigger challenges than their daily struggle to find food and raise a family. Around the world, their rainforest homes are under threat, with trees being chopped down at an alarming rate. Let's understand why this is happening and what can be done to help the rainforest. Trees store carbon, which can be harmful to the environment. It is released into the atmosphere when trees are cut down. One rainforest tree can contain 3 to 4 metric tons of carbon, around the same amount that a car emits over 4 years. Deforestation. Rainforest trees provide habitats for amazing animals and are important to the health of the planet. However, all over the world, these trees are being cut down to use the land beneath them. This is called deforestation. Why are rainforests being cut down? Many trees are cut down so the wood can be used to make furniture and paper. This is called logging. People clear rainforest land to build roads and cities. People cut down rainforest trees to make space for farms and ranches where we grow crops and raise cattle for beef. Rainforest trees can be cut down to make space to plant oil palm trees. The fruits from these trees are collected for their palm oil, which is in lots of things we eat or use, including chocolate, shampoo, and soap. Why is deforestation bad? Habitat destruction. Rainforest trees are habitats for lots of animals. Just as a single tree can be home to more than 150 beetle species. When trees are cut down, animals are left with nowhere to live. Climate change. Trees absorb and store carbon dioxide, a gas that can be harmful to the environment. When there are fewer trees, more carbon dioxide stays in the air. Carbon dioxide heat from the sun, traps heat from the sun. So when there's lots of it in the atmosphere, the earth gets hotter. This causes problems such as extreme weather, loss of biodiversity. If there are fewer trees and plants, it's harder for animals to find food that they need to survive. And without animals around to help, there are fewer ways for plants and trees to disperse their seeds. Flooding. When trees are cut down, it leaves open areas of land. If these spaces rain in these spaces, rainwater collects and runs into rivers, which can overflow and cause flooding. How does climate change affect rainforests? For tropical rainforests, climate change means hotter weather and less rain. When there is usually dry weather for a long time, it is called a drought. Droughts cause many problems for animals and people living in rainforests, as well as for the rest of the world. When there is less rainfall, it is difficult for plants to grow. This affects local farmers who grow crops such as coffee, bananas, lemons, and peanuts to make money and feed their families. A bad crop season in the rainforest affects people all over the world too. It means that foods grown in the rainforest, such as corn, wheat, soybeans, and rice, will be in short supply. If the weather gets hotter, trees in the rainforest will produce fruit at unusual times of the year. This confuses the animals that rely on the fruits for food. Animals cannot adapt as quickly as humans when the world they live in changes. When the temperature increases and there is less rain, it can disrupt their entire life cycle. When it is hot and dry, destructive forest fires are much likely to happen. Fires can blaze over a huge area, burning trees and killing wildlife. When it is dry, the rainforest cannot recover as quickly from the damage that has been done, and it is likely that fires will occur again. When there are fewer trees, climate change gets worse. Less carbon dioxide gets absorbed, so there is more in the air. There are a lot of people working to protect rainforests from fire. NASA has a satellite system that collects information to predict when forest fires might happen. This means that action can be taken to stop them from spreading. Rainforest recovery. There are lots of people in the world who are protecting rainforests and the amazing plants and animals that live here. These people are called conservationists. Protected areas. Conservationists can work with governments and local communities to make rules that protect areas of rainforest from logging and farming. In these areas, they study plants and animals and look after endangered species so that their numbers can increase. Reforestation. One important way to protect wildlife and fight climate change is to plant trees. When lots of trees are planted in areas of cleared rainforest, it is called reforestation. This helps improve the health of the soil, provide homes for the animals, and reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the air. Sustainable farming. Farming is an important part of rainforest life. It helps feed local communities as well as providing fruits, nuts, and oils for people across the world. However, farming can destroy plants and animals and harm the world's climate. Conservationists are trying to change the way that people farm in the rainforest. New ways of farming can help the farmers as well as supporting rainforest plants and animals. Farming uses up important nutrients in soil, so when crops have grown, farmers have to move on and clear new areas of land to use composing. It is a way of recycling plant waste to put nutrients back into soil. Composting is a way of recycling plant waste so farmers can use some area of land over again. Planting a mixture of crops prevents weeds from growing. This means that harmful weed like killing chemicals don't need to be used on the land. Seed banks are also a great way to protect plants. A seed bank stores precious seeds which can later be planted to keep certain crops from dying out. Planting some native species of plant species that are naturally found in rainforests will support wildlife and attract pollinating insects. So, how can we help? Find out more. To find out more about rainforests, you can read books, watch documentaries, and visit rainforest conservation websites. Then you can share the facts with your friends and family. The more people understand how precious rainforests are, the more people will protect them. Support conservation groups. There are lots of ways to help people who work to protect tropical wildlife. You can raise money with your school, family, or friends by having a bake sale or a sponsored run. Look before you buy. If you are buying paper or something made of wood, look for the FSC logo. The FSC certified products have been made with less harm to rainforests. Recycle paper. When paper is recycled, it can be reused or made into more paper. This means that fewer trees have to be cut down to make paper. Reduce your carbon footprint. Reducing your carbon footprint means reducing the amounts of carbon dioxide which you put into the air, as this is harmful to the environment. You can do this by choosing to walk or cycle instead of driving when you can, and by using less electricity in your home. Eat less meat. This can help reduce your carbon footprint. Fewer cattle herds would be needed, so fewer rainforests would be cut down to make space for them to graze. Look out for palm oil. It's hard to avoid buying palm oil when it's in so many of things we eat and use. But you can look for products that have been made with sustainably sourced palm oil. This comes from palm oil trees that have been grown in a way that doesn't harm rainforests as much. Finally, plant a tree. Planting a tree in your garden or your school will help fight climate change because trees make oxygen and absorb carbon dioxide from the air. How to make your own mini rainforests. Learning how plants and animals survive teaches scientists how to protect them. You can study tropical plants like a scientist by making a terrarium. A terrarium provides a warm and humid place for tropical plants to grow your very own miniature rainforest. You will need a large glass container with a lid, such as a cookie jar, or you can reuse a large pickle jar. You can collect small rocks or pebbles. Also, you'll need some activated charcoal to keep the soil healthy, potting soil to grow the plants in. You will be able to find the plant soil and charcoal at the garden center. You'll need 1 to 3 small tropical plants, such as palms and ferns. 1. At the bottom of the jar, add a 1-inch layer of small rocks. Next, add a layer of activated charcoal, followed by a thick layer of soil. 3. Water the soil if it feels dry and make some small wells for your plants. 4. Plant your tropical plants by placing them in the wells in the soil. 5. Lightly spray water onto the plants and place the lid on. Pop the jar in a well-lit spot. Open the lid every couple of weeks to give the plants some fresh air. The water cycle. You can see the rainforest water cycle for yourself in your terrarium. You will notice water droplets on the inside of the jar where the plants have released moisture. These droplets will drip back into the soil where the plants will absorb the water through their roots, starting the cycle again. You could decorate your terrarium with some small toys or models of rainforest creatures. That sounds fun. Which animals might you see in a tropical rainforest? Protecting the places that are precious. Rainforests are unique and beautiful places. They contain millions of plants and animals, species that we don't know anything about yet. As the lungs of the planet, rainforests have an effect on everyone around the world and support millions of plant, animal, and human lives too. Now, more than ever, rainforests need to be protected because they are precious and irreplaceable. Thank you for watching.